Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
With combat sports.
So that same technology that you see them hit a drive and you see the colored flight of the, okay, so that's shot tracker or shot tracer?
Shot tracker, correct.
Okay, so shot tracker, that same technology is what they use in the gloves?
Yep.
I didn't know that, okay.
Yep, and so we got a bunch of raw data. So over these next 2 weeks, they're looking at the raw data, scrubbing it, and building an algorithm based off of what we've seen. So you got the tech, the chip in the gloves, but you also have 5 cameras that was on top of the ceiling in the cage that can motion capture the movement, how fast guys are punching, kicking, time everything up. So now once we build this algorithm, the upside in this thing is going to be tremendous. We think that this is going to change the landscape of combat sports if we can keep going and get this data accurate. And it looks like the data that came in was great. Now we have to kind of dissect it.
So is there anything for the feet? Is it just the gloves?
Just the gloves, but the cameras are the ones that catch the timing of the feet and the
I got you. Okay, so they're tracking that from up there.
Yep.
I got you. Wow. Dude, this is cool.
Yeah, you know, for me, my thing is this, UFC got me into the sport. I went to my first UFC fight in UFC. You know, what they've done to the sport of MMA has just been incredible.
Yeah.
You know, Dana, got a pretty good relationship with Dana White. And, we actually went to UFC 298 in Anaheim this past Saturday, which was incredible too. So I've been around this sport a very, very long time, but we believe that the more accurate we can get this data, it is going to just change the landscape of combat sports. And that's what I'm aiming to do. I want to do something different. Obviously, we understand the big dogs in the sport of the UFC, but we think that we can build some other verticals that make this sport a lot more, just advance the sport. That's what we're looking to do.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I mean, it makes it more interactive for people, right? So when you bring data into the mix and you start perfecting that algorithm like you're talking about, that could create quite the user experience, for the viewers.
No, absolutely. And that's what we want to do, right? I think that the more data and information you can get to the fans and people watching us at home, the more they're going to want to watch. Yeah. I'm the same way. You tell me that, Tyreek Hill just ran 21 miles an hour. My eyes are glued to the screen because I want to see what it looked like for a guy to run 21, 22, 23 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And how fast he can cut and how what's his stop go speed. So it's the same difference, right? I mean, if a guy land over 20 something G-force that can knock you out, that's, like, man, okay, well, maybe the next time, 20 something G-force is not going to knock another guy out. So now you're looking like, okay, now that guy got a chin.
Right.
So you're looking at all these different factors and things. It's just going to advance the sport and it makes it very cool.
Well, you just brought something up that I hadn't thought of. So it's going to help people handicap these deals too, because once you realize a guy's got a chin, now all of a sudden you're going to look at betting that next bout that he's in differently, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to get to. And
I hadn't thought about that. That's brilliant, man.
Yeah, if a guy output of his punches, right? If he's punching, let's call it 60 times the first round.
Yeah.
Second round, he's punching 47 times. And the third round, he's punching 31 times. We know he gets tired as the round go on. And so maybe for his opponent or people to start live betting that, hey, this guy normally doesn't perform that well in the third round because his outputs drops 20 or 25 punch per round. And so
that's a conditioning thing.
Yes. But it's a conditioning thing. But guess what? If you can bet by round, then you know that to bet that third round because that guy's production goes down, right?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's we just want to make this data as accurate as we can possibly get it.
That's cool. So where's Jay Glazer's gym? You mentioned you were working out in it.
LA. It's in LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Vegas now.
I'm in Vegas, yeah.
And you work out at Fletch's gym?
Flex Lewis's gym at
Or
Dragon
Flex,
Slayer.
sorry, I meant
Yep.
Flex. I apologize.
Yep. Flex Lewis's gym, and then I work out at Randy Couture's gym on the MMA side at Xtreme Couture.
Oh,
So
there you go.
I get a double duty. I can still go be my meathead self and lifting the weights, and then also I can get some training in.
So I used to be a Flex fan back when he was in Muscle and Fitness and competing, and that guy's got an amazing body, man.
He's next level, and he's not competing anymore, but he still
Oh,
looks great. He just played, and he was an athlete back in the day too. He played
Yeah.
in rugby, and
Yeah.
he just played the flag football game. He texted me the other day, said he's never been more sore in his life. So I said, that's what happens, man. We all get old.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Father time is, yeah, you can't stop it. You can slow it down sometimes, right? So let me ask you this. What's the number one thing that you've learned in starting this extreme fighting league?
That look, there's a lot of things that I don't know, and sometimes when you own a company, you're running a company, that you go around, it's like, sometimes people have to tend to poke out their chest, right? It's my company, I do what I want, and I'm the exact opposite, right? I have a lot of access to some very intelligent, very smart people in areas that I'm not so great in. I'm not a tech guy. I understand what they say, but I'm not a tech guy. So I have these ideas and things that I want to do. And so I need other people who are very well versed in that area to facilitate my ideas.
Yeah, that's smart, man.
And honestly, that's why we had so much growth. I'm launching actually Lights Out Sports and sometime in the next couple of months, and I'm launching with 20 channels, and we'll have the Lights Out Extreme Fighting live on there. Then we'll have some redistribution on some other platforms, but we'll be live on Lights Out Sports. But then again, these content partners and these channels that we're building, am I a tech guy? No, I'm not. And do I have all the connections everywhere? So you start bringing in, I like to say that if even when somebody come in and it makes me a little uncomfortable if somebody call me boss, right? Or they call me this or call me that. I just look at, I'm leading the team.
Yeah.
I'm leading the team. And that's what I've been doing, practically my whole life. I know that best than anything, right? So whether you CEO, president, founder, call me whatever you want to, but in a sense, I'm leading the team. And I've been doing that my entire life. And I know how to.
You really have. You look at your life story, okay, and look at the decisions that you made that changed your life. But honestly, Shawne, they changed a bunch of people's lives around you. And I'm talking dozens and dozens and dozens of people. You're now starting to hear about it, right? When you're, during your coat drive and all that kind of stuff, you're now starting to hear about it. But a lot of the decisions that you made were made from a servant leadership standpoint. And that's the way you've been throughout your entire lifetime, from what I can tell from your life story. You know what I mean? And so that's really it's a consistent with you. It's literally every time you've made a decision, that decision has been made based on what's best for other people, not just you. You know what I mean? And that's a big deal, man. That's bigger than most people realize. And I get the whole thing about people calling you boss, because I owned companies too, and I used to feel the same exact way. I was the first one to help people, right? I was the first one to figure out a way, in my organizations, to be a servant leader. And that's literally the way you've been wired, and the way you've done what you've done your entire life. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that's your management style. So let me ask you a question. So I was going to ask you about tomorrow. So you said Lights Out Sports, the network is coming?
Yeah, I have a Lights Out Sports streaming app that's coming.
Okay.
And we'll be launching in the next couple of months. I'm launching with 20 different channels, other sports, really, I can't. My team, I talked a little bit about it public the other day. I said, Shawne, can you wait to announce the partners? But so we're launching, with 20 very well-known sports entities and properties that everybody know in the world. We'll be on the app. and it's a free.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble, so we'll just we'll just leave it at the general stuff.
Yeah, it's a free ad-supported service that will be, you can download on. I'll also name the TVs that we're partnering with, and the places you can also get it outside of downloading the app on your phone or Android or iPhone.
Okay.
But this is a major deal because there's not very many all sports, just sports platforms out there. And we got some great streaming services. Like I'm a big fan of Pluto and Hulu and Fubo and stuff like that, but it's very few places where they're just sports.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when you got so many other great content partners or great fast channels or whatever it is, and it's not sports, sometimes certain sports get overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's great content, but people got to dive through 300 plus channels in order to find that one particular sport they're looking for.
So you're making it easy for them.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to, I just talked about being a problem solver, right? Like I want to create value for these other big streaming companies and platforms out there to say, hey, give me your sports, because this is where people are going to come and just watch sports at. And that's the thing that we're trying to create.
That's cool. So talk a little bit, because I don't know anything about this stuff. I mean, I know who Hulu is, and I know who Fubo is, and I know, I know who they are, right? I've heard of them. But talk about how they've changed things, because they really have. I mean, there's an honest to goodness revolution happening in entertainment right now. Talk a little bit about that, because you know a whole lot more about that than I do.
Yeah, well, people are cutting cable left and right?
Yeah.
I mean, more and more cable are getting cut, and the more and more cable getting cut, these streaming services are now looking for content and eyeballs for content. So they're launching these fast channels that that's kind of in a way where you can stream it anywhere in the world. Some of these platforms like a Pluto, I think you can look at Pluto like just about anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And so the more and more these streaming platforms are becoming available, the more and more content is there that your content lives on. The problem is, that like a Pluto is so great. They got so much good stuff. I mean, I watch crime shows on Pluto, movies, sitcoms, but it's so hard to get to a sports channel sometimes because they got so much of the great stuff.
Right. Well, like you said, you have to sift through a bunch of stuff to get there.
Yeah. And I really want to look at to solve a problem or add some value to what they're already doing. And I was fortunate enough to play in the NFL, which is the biggest platform here in the country, in the US anyway. And so people know who I am, and also too, I'm very active on social media. I'm very out in the public. I'm at big sporting events and doing things like that. So I have a pretty good sports fan base that are looking to direct them to watch their sports. And so it actually is it was a dream and a passion of mine at the same time, to be quite honest. This is where I always wanted to be, and I had an opportunity to do it, and we're doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you. So let me ask you this. So you're starting the sports network. What do you envision is next for you? So beyond the sports network, what do you see for you? What do you see for Shawne Merriman?
For one, I want to grow the brand, right? We want as many distribution eyeballs all over the world. Fubo is great. I mean, they are, the content they're bringing on, the tech, they're a great tech platform, and the multi-view. They just added this multi-view thing, and I think it's just ridiculously cool. But I wanted to create something that people can reach us all over the world. People that can download this app, go to a TV platform, and look at us all over the world. And that's one thing that I wanted to establish first, and then you look to grow it, right? I've always been, even as a player, I've always been interactive with the fans, always. And I truthfully believe that the fans drive everything that we do. And you just talked about launching in 3 more countries. That you guys are able to launch because so many people are listening everywhere. We need the fans. And so if you give the fans more, we just talked about the gloves. You start giving the fans more, being interactive with them, the data that's given to them, the access, to kind of separate yourself to anything that's out there, whether it's a different tech fan engagement.
It's differentiation, man.
That's it. And so that's where we look. That's where I want to be, when we want to be the coolest, most interactive platform in the world.
Yeah.
And I think we got a real opportunity to do that with these great content partners that's coming on board. My ability to get things out there and people to pay attention to it, but more importantly, it's about giving the fans more. How can we give them more so that they feel like they're involved in what we're doing?
Yeah. No, it's cool. I love what you're doing, and I'd love to be a part of it if there's anything I can do to help you. And we'd love to have you back if you want to come back when you're closer to launching it and talk some more about. I'd like to get into specifics once you can do that. So if you
Yes.
don't mind, let's book something for a couple of months from now, and let's have you come back on and talk about the specifics, because I'm into this thing, man. This is cool.
Yeah,
I
no, I would love that.
something.
Absolutely.
This is awesome, dude.
Appreciate
So
it.
is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
Oh, no, that's it, man. I think we talked a lot about just my upbringing and growing up, and I was always uncomfortable with the rags to riches story a little bit, right? And I started to kind of change that a little bit because, as you said when we first came on, somebody gonna resonate with something, and
Yep,
somebody right now is going through something. They think that it's over for them.
that's
They
it.
think there's no light at the end of that tunnel.
That's it.
They think that there's no recovering. There's no, hey, I made a mistake. There's no getting past that mistake. There's no getting better.
Yep,
Somebody out there is going to say, hell, man, if he went through that, he went through all that stuff, then my situation ain't that bad. Or hey,
yeah,
he did that, and I can do it.
yeah.
And so as uncomfortable as used to be about the whole rags to riches story, it needs to be said once in a while. It needs to be told. And go ahead.
Well, no, you're okay. Here's the thing. The biggest part of servant leadership is what you did today. No joke. What you did today by telling the world your story, okay? That's the biggest part of servant leadership, because what you're doing is you're sharing with people how you lead by example. And you're showing people every single day, every single step you take, you're showing people how they can lead too. You with me?
Yep.
This world needs more servant leaders like Shawne Merriman, man. Okay. They need more servant leaders. They need more people that are willing to put their story on tape. That's not easy to do. Okay. Putting yourself out there, there's some pain that came along with you growing up. Okay. And you can tell that you went through some significant pain. What's cool about you and your situation, though, is you're brutally honest about what it is that you went through, and that helps people more than you can possibly imagine. It helps people more than you can imagine, I promise you. You've done more today by being on this podcast and telling your story than you can possibly imagine. Being a servant leader is just about showing people through what you've done and what you've been able to accomplish coming from where you came from, okay? And what you've been able and what you continue to accomplish. I mean, dude, how many people are starting a sports network? Come on, okay? I'm talking to a flipping mogul now, right? In the making. You with me?
Yep.
That kind of stuff lights people's fire, man. It just does. Period. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I'm listening to Elon Musk has a biography that was done by Walter Isaacson,
Yep.
same guy that did Steve
I
Jobs.
read it. Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm literally listening to it. I'm on the treadmill this morning and I'm cracking up. I'm laughing out loud because the same things that his teachers told his parents at parent-teacher conferences are the same exact things that my parents were told by my teachers. Okay.
Yep.
And I grew up on a farm in Oklahoma and I'm proud of it. Okay. Now, I didn't have a rough childhood like you had, but it wasn't easy. And the work that I did, I wouldn't give that up for all the money in the world, because everything from that point forward has felt like I was playing hooky. You with me?
100%. I know exactly.
Because working on a farm is hard. Growing up the way you grew up is hard. But here's the deal, and this is nothing more than life, okay? Pick your heart. That's what life's about, right? You pick your heart. You either work hard towards something or you live a hard life. What are you going to pick? That's what life's all about. And what you've done today is you've helped an enormous amount of people just by telling your story, because they're going to connect with you and it's going to inspire and motivate them to do things they've been putting off.
Absolutely. And you're right. And sometimes I do have to remind myself that, and that's why I had to get comfortable talking about these things, because I wasn't, I remember bringing it up, and I remember that when I was younger, my skin used to crawl, literally. It's like, man, I don't want, because I'm wired to not feel sorry, right, for yourself. You're wired not to self-pity. Oh, poor me, you're wired to not be that way. But I had to think of it different and say, if I don't talk about these things, people just gonna see that dude on Sundays making tackles and thinking I just got there easy.
Right.
And and so in order to get there, people have to understand what it took to get there. And maybe that might resonate or hit them in a way that I don't know. And so that's what made me get a little bit more comfortable talking about it and discussing those things.
Yeah. And that's exactly so what you're doing. And I promise you this, what you're doing right now and what you're doing later today and what you're doing tomorrow, you're setting an example for people to follow. That's the greatest part of servant leadership you can possibly bring to this world.
Absolutely.
I hope this doesn't sound wrong, but I'm really proud of you, man.
No, man, I appreciate it. When I hear that, man, I look at that because first of all, you come and making that transition to something else. That transition is rough. I don't care who you are. When you are known and doing one thing since you're 10, 11 years old, and then now you're going to do something else, making your way is something that initially, when I very first started out several years ago, that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah.
And then you put in the time, effort to sit down and learn it, and then you become to do your own. And as you talked about owning businesses. It's one thing to have a job, which is nothing wrong with having a job at all. In fact, things don't run if people don't have jobs, right? It just doesn't.
That's true.
But it's a whole different ball game when you run, own it, and it's on you. And when it is, that's a whole different kind of mindset that you have to, unlock, because it's on you. If things are great, it's on you. If it goes bad, it's on you. If things not working out, it's on you. So it's one of those things you have to switch your mindset for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Man, I cannot thank you enough for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. And I'm super excited to have you back. Come back in a couple of months. Let's talk about the network. Let's get into specifics so we can get this thing launched. Okay. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, I'm going to give you my number so that you can reach out to me. Okay.
You got it, man. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Thanks again.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.